Hi guys, it is time once again for another video, and I'm going to go completely off what I've done in the past, and I'm going to show you a little video on how I do offsets. And actually for names I have three different ways that I do them. This is Cricut Design Space. I have a Cricut Explore Air 2, so this is what I have to use to cut from. It is the worst program for working with fonts I have ever encountered. I hate it, but it's what I have to use for my machine because I'm not spending the money to get a new machine when mine works just fine. So there's ways to work around it. So if you go into text and just type in a name, this is a Angel Heart. It's a script font, and you can see it spaces terribly. So if I change this to, I don't know, minus 0.5, that joins it all up nicely, sort of. Maybe one more, just to get that S and that A joined. Okay, so we have our text like this. I have this one unbolded. Usually it would come out regular to begin with. So once you get it the way it is, don't weld it, don't pull it apart to space it, because you lose all of your ability to use the font toolbar if you do that. So if you have a font that you can get away with this, then you can do it this way. So I duplicate this, right click and duplicate, and then I bold here under style. I hit bold, and if I take my skinnier one and change the color and arrange it so it's on the front, you can see that you get a really thin offset. So that is one of the ways, and probably the easiest way to do it. The way that I do it, this was an SVG I created in Silhouette, and I'm putting here, and so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to change the color of this one. So this is going to be our top vinyl. This one's going to be our offset. So I'm going to move that down. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to duplicate both of those again, and then I'm going to do it again, just so I have a lot to work with as I'm going. So now I'm going to take them one at a time. And this is the workaround that works in Cricut, and I'm going to stack them one on top of the other, making sure that my ends, see, they don't meet, they're a little gapped, are together, and I don't have any gaps in my lettering, because those will cut, and you don't want that. So you just need to keep clicking off to make sure that all of your pointy ends are all lined up and there aren't any gaps in your lettering, and just move it just a little bit one way or another all the way around. You can, if you do this all from one direction, you're going to end up with a funny look sometimes, because it's going to be all one direction, but you just keep stacking them. And so that looks nice and thick right there. So I'm going to take this pink one, going to send it to the front, and I'm just going to drag it over here to see if I'm happy with the amount of the offset. If not, I can add a little bit more to my stack. If I'm still not happy at this point, I can duplicate the single one some more and get it in there. I like a skinny offset personally. I just find it just makes it pop without overwhelming the design. So once you're happy, you highlight the pile and weld, and you are good to go. It doesn't matter what colors these are on your screen, just long as you know that this is your bottom vinyl and this is your top. The next thing that I do is in Cricut Design Space, not Cricut Design Space, it's in Silhouette Business Edition. You go to the Silhouette Studio and download the basic version, which is free, and then you can go to swingdesign.com and download the business edition. Best money I've ever spent besides my fancy turner from Pressing Images. It's so easy to work with fonts in here that I do all of my font work in here, all of it, because it just puts things together. So if I click over here on my text and then put the cursor here, I can type out the name that I want, and if I click on it, I can come here and I can change the color to whatever I want. And close that. Here's all your tools, your center. You can replicate them. This is where you slice things. So this little button right here, which is the A with the line, this one you can create fonts. This one you can have access to all of your fonts. So you can go through here and you can just do this and look at all of the different fonts really quickly and easily. That's the same font that I was using in the other one. So it's really quick and easy to do. I know what font I'm using for this. It's Rosaliana, which is one of my favorites. It's nice and round and it has little hearts for the eyes, so I'm going to use that. Now the cool thing about using this program to do your fonts is I have yet to figure out how to get into the character map in Design Space to do fancy things. In here it's this little G up here and it's called glyphs, and you can scroll down. It's usually the lowercase letters that have the fancy tails and stuff on them. I'm looking for that fancy H right there. So I'm going to highlight this H and I'm going to replace it with this one and make it fancy. So that's how I want I could have done the E too, but I think that this is enough. You can get too much with these glyphs sometimes. So I'm going to go File, and I'm going to Save As, and I'm going to save it to my hard drive. This is what you need the business edition for, because the basic edition does not. So I'm going to save it as an SVG. So I'm going to do Michelle SVG. I've done this video 5 times now. Hopefully this one works. And OK. And because I already have it, I'm going to replace it. So you can also save as PNG. I just find it a little bit more difficult when it comes to importing it into Design Space. But when I work on my labels, if I have to do any design work for logos for labels, I do them all as PNGs in here because it gives you a nice crisp image. It's really nice. So in order to do the offset, this part's the fun part, I click on my text and it brings up these options up here, and there's this little star right here. First I'm going to weld my text and then I'm going to group it because for some reason it's keeping this heart out sideways. I don't know why it does that, but so now I've got all one block of image here. So I'm going to click on this star and I'm going to click, or I'm not even going to click on offset because it already has one. And you can do, if you click again, it'll put another outline around it. So you can do multiples as well. So this is a big fat outline and I don't really care for that, but I can fix that by clicking on this little down arrow here, and you can see from the outline it changing size and opening up spaces in the gaps. Now, as I mentioned, I like a nice skinny outline. I'm going to say 0.30 for this one and apply, and we can close that. So now we can separate that. And so there's our outline, and here's our letters. We've already saved the top vinyl piece. So now we can go back into here, File, Save As, Save to Hard Drive, and this is the Michelle Offset SVG, and we're going to save it as an SVG. And we're going to click OK. Yes, we're going to replace it. So now we have the SVG. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to open my Cricut design space, and I'm going to upload both of those images. Michelle Offset. With SVGs, that's what makes it really nice. It's already transparent, and there's nothing more to do. It just click OK and it goes. You don't have to do any editing to it. The bad thing about SVGs is it makes it really tiny like this, so we don't want it to be really super tiny. And this is our offset, so we can keep that part black. Now we're going to upload the not offset. And we're going to insert that. And again, it's tiny, and I'm going to make this one pink again, just because it shows up so nicely against the black. And I'm just going to put over top and mess with the sizing until I get it where I want it, which is right about there. Hi guys, here is part 2 of my offset video. I know you can't see this because it's white on white, but I've cut out my pieces in my vinyl, and I have affixed them after weeding them to my Cricut mat because it's sticky. You can also just tape your bottom pieces to the table, but you want to affix it so that when you're lining them up, the bottom doesn't jump up and meet the top, which makes it stick in weird ways and you have to recut things. So I just use, for my transfer tape, I just use this contact transparent matte contact brand roll that I got at the dollar store. It's like super cheap. So the only thing is it doesn't stick as well as some other things. So when you're using metallics especially, you have to work a little harder to get them to release. That it's all about angles really, and just you only need it to hold onto you don't need it to stick permanently to the tape. That's not what you want, but you just need it to hold there. So you just be careful about how you're rolling your backing off, and making sure you don't have any parts of vinyl still stuck to your backing when you're done. And it's just as easy as that, so you don't need to invest in expensive transfer tape. So now this is probably a bad example because you can't really see what I'm doing because of the white background, but I'm going to line this up, and I'm just going to, because it's stuck down, I don't have to worry about it jumping around. I don't like the Cricut white vinyl because it has a white background. So you just get it to where you like it before you press it down. And then just press it down really good, and then you already have your transfer tape on, so you just have to unstick it from your mat to apply it to your cup. I don't know if you can see any better. You can't really see with the white, so that's not fair. So we're going to try it again with this Lisa. You'll be able to see this one a lot better. Again, it's a metallic, so I have to be really careful, and it's just roll it at a 45-degree angle is your best bet. And just make sure it's just all sticking. you just line it up. Get it to where you think it looks good and make sure your ends are not wonky. And press it down, and voila, you have an awesome offset. So I've got just a hint of the teal behind the silver. The camera's not really picking that up. And you see, just a hint, because I like a thin outline, but it's going to be just enough that it's going to set it off nicely on the cup that I have this going on. So that's how I layer them. It's not that hard. It's a lot more intimidating than to think about, and when you haven't done them, it's a lot more intimidating than it is in reality to do them. So hopefully this video has helped, and I apologize for all the Filmora stuff on this video. It's the only way I could figure out how to videotape my screen so that I could show you what I was doing on the computer. So next time, I don't know what we're doing. If you have any suggestions, just let me know what you'd like to see me do. You take care.